um, I just chuckled and sort of laughed at myself the way that the medicine wheel, the laughter wheel, the color wheel, raises your frequency, lifts your spirit, right? Your heart and your soul, and the essence of your temple, your spirit, the nature of our spirit. So I watched a little bit of a video last night called "The Last Druid," Gaelic, like Ireland, Stonehenge, and this gentleman was talking about priests and priestesses, if you will, about how if you go into a city or a village or town, many of the people there might not be aware that there are beings there that are highly telepathic, right? Which means silent communication, and they're very aware of what's going on. Particularly when you have gold running through your veins, the silver and gold. You're experiencing the silver and gold, and you're breathing neurologically right on time. Because the mathematical encryption is God's source, the Nomi seed. So he was mentioning how the Game of Thrones, the game, the imitation game, were using highly telepathic, like a telecommunication device, a camcorder. I'm mapping the hologram. I'm very aware of what's going on with this hologram. That's what I was doing. I was 4 years of age. What was I measuring? Using a calculator. The eternal capacitor. God force, the eternal source, is letting me know the loss and gain of life force electrical power that's being siphoned off. Okay, so you already know why you're here, to restore balance. Okay, breathing in balance. I am breathing as one in perfect atmospheric PSI coded neutrinos, naturally gifting electrons, and electrical service to all sentient life forms. So now they're all experiencing what I am, which is what love is, which is what the law is. And that's how simple that is. And so he talked about how they were using different words and different language, like electrical codes of communication, why silence is golden. I don't need to say a word, just like with Misha. Remember, the children were healing in the house. I didn't have to communicate a word to any of them in that house. All I had to do was to be present, and that was enough. And that's why we don't advertise ourselves. We don't get on cameras, because it's unnecessary. Walking through communities, walking through the forest, and naturally balancing those waves out. So now we're experiencing being equal in mass to experience 0 degrees again. And that's really what it is. I mentioned to Lisa Wolf, I would have never, ever gone on a camera and put my mugshot up there if we hadn't already secured the 15D temple, breathing temple, the universal time matrix, knowing how to rebuild one, set it on fire, flame body activations, the 13 star firelight mother arc, the mother arc, yeah, the mother of creation. Father and mother joined as one to experience being one, the first atom, the first atmosphere, the first pressure wave, the crystal core. Yeah, so as this relates to psychiatry, I was sort of chuckling at myself when I thought about my wave speed, my crystal wave speed spiral, places that I ended up when I start sharing about 5150, psychiatric codes, hallucinations, optical illusions, the implants, the hormones, all of that, which are obviously all large files because they're all linked to other files in the permanent records. And why blank slate memory wipe technology does not work on the permanent records. Oh no, and that's why they hate us. Because they can't lie anymore. The mathematics, the electrical mathematical codes of communication. DNA communication codes, electrical codes of communication. What are you aware of? I'm aware of what I am. I know what I am. Do you know what you are? You don't have to say, we already know. And that's called a scan. And that's speed. No loss and gain of electrical power. To strengthen your consciousness field, which is the morphogenetic field structure of what you're aware of. How much you're aware of. Well, how fast is your calculator? Processing. Holographic mathematical holograms. Knowing what's real. Real trees of life, the real tree of life. That's what it is. And that's a speed function, which is a mathematical calculation of running what? A temperature gauge. In perfect balance. Breathing in perfect balance. And that is the highest level of mathematical encryption, which is God source code, which is the Nomi code, which is the Nomi seed, the first seed. Plant the first seed, the first son. The Shivan Gomated one. The one I serve is the one I am. So keep it simple. So throughout the course from about 1982, I got a lot of training. I learned a lot as it related to psych nurses, psychiatrists, codes, mental health institutions, public and private. I've been in a state mental institution. Okay, so I know what goes on there. I did a video on that one time. So I know something about the one flew over the cuckoo's nest in the 5150 code. Particularly if you go in there voluntarily and you don't, and you end up getting a doctor, okay, that's in disguise, and getting orders to do things to you that you're not aware of because you're already in their custody. Oh no, I've had to run out of one of those. Yeah, there was a guy who was a psychiatrist at UCLA, no doubt, that wore a gold chain and it had 10 on there. You're a 10, a gold chain 10. Well, I know you. So he tried to push lithium, all kinds of stuff, psychotropic drugs. And I said, I refuse to obey your orders. I refuse to obey the machinery orders. So he wanted to put me in a lockup, a rubber room. I'm out of here. One flew over the cuckoo's nest. So I'm very familiar with how they operated. And that was in Pomona, California, called New Horizons. First sun, first light. I am. I'm Manu Aya. And so that was my first meeting with that system dynamics, the mathematics of that system. And then I think over the course of, when was that? 1986, somewhere right around in there. Between there and 1992, I went through at least a half a dozen psychiatric hospitals. And many of them were actually pretty, what we call high end, almost like motel rooms, like the Ritz-Carlton, someplace like that, with the way they define food density codes of good food, and then learning how they think, how machines think, as it relates to psychology, the psyche, the mind, the operation of the mind, a mind operator, a tech operator, the energy of the mind, the communication of the mind, the machine codes of the mind, the thinking machine, the Wayback Machine. So I became very familiar with their terms and definitions and codes and how they speak and communicate with each other through those system codes, Robocop codes, agency codes, right? Like words like echelon, right? And so I know. And so it was a great education, but I was there actually for other reasons, bringing balance, because all of those centers, all of that system, all of those people, boys and girls. I was in one psychiatric that had children in there. Disorder, chaos disorder. The mind's disassociated. Mathematical disorder. Mathematical breathing disorder. A breathing disorder. So that one facility I was in, yeah, they had a children's unit there and an adolescent unit there. So I went into that place. That's where I met a CIA I became friends with a guy named Frank Barlow. I mentioned that before, who another alcoholic, right? And so he was an agent, and him and learned a lot through him. Okay, him and I became friends. He was an agent, Smith, and his name was Frank Barlow. And I became friends with his sister, who was a nurse at Washington County Hospital in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And I'll always love you, Frank. It's much like Robert David Steele, a case manager at the CIA, said one time. They're good people trapped in a bad system. He's telling you the truth, right? Because I've met many people that have worked for that agency. Okay, and that is the truth. What he said, what Robert David Steele said, is the absolute truth. Good people trapped in a bad system. That's why we're here. They know that. They know that also. Okay, it's the speed memo, neurological communication, right? Scanning codes. What are the codes informing you of? We got a problem. That's called a system failure, which is a failure to communicate. The law. Who built this system? Right? So you can go in with a test light to any system. God source can go into any system that's built, right? As a part of what's been manifested into creation, and let you know what's going on at 3 trillionth of a nanosecond. Like 3 trillion years. Like 3 Mama's 3 spheres logos. And that is a speed function, which is the mathematical calculation, which would be a breathing disorder, as it relates to a breathing disorder, which is a genetic disorder, which is a genetic engineering problem. So you need a solution, an engineering solution, a genetic engineering solution to the core of the problem. Now we're breathing with the crystal core. Now we're breathing as one again. Now we're breathing right on time. Correcting the breathing, the lymphatic, the breathing system, the neurological breathing system. Wow, now we're breathing better codes. Now we're breathing, man, I feel a lot better. And that's what I was trying to say in my videos yesterday, is that I experienced what you experienced. So I'm experiencing the planetary is feeling better. The planet is feeling better. That's why we're here. And so you realize what that means as it relates to the other one, the one that's not real. Yeah. Paying less attention, less electrical attention, as it relates to a consent form, the form and flow of a crystal spiral. What we choose to give consent to experience in our own mirror, what we're manifesting into creation. Now I'm experiencing what I am. And that means that manifestation abilities are returning. Now we're experiencing a different mirror. The visuals have changed because the mathematics has changed, because the direction has changed. Now we're going in the right direction. Spinning in the right direction. That's why we're here. And that's called recovery time, which is speed time, which is burn time. Sound like burn patterns. Perfect mathematical, crystal, structural, engineering, integration with the core, breathing with the core, the silver-chromated core. Yep. So that's good news. When I experience good news, northeast, west, and south, north and south, east and west, 90 on the vertical, 90 on the horizontal. Yeah.